Okay, hey everybody. Hi, this is Terry Luongo, and I'm a National Marketing Director for the Juice Plus Company. And it's a pleasure having you here this evening. We gather every Monday night for stories and inspiration and kind of fellowship if you really want to know what we do on Monday night. And tonight is a real special night for me because you're going to hear from two of my favorite people, a couple that I have known for 32, 33 years, and we've kind of grown up together. If you really want to know the deal, we've kind of grown up together, and we've had so many amazing experiences and memories that we just both cherish so much. So let me tell you a little bit about Jen and Henry Hagemann. 33, 34 years ago, they made a decision that literally changed the trajectory of their lives. And that's the first step to possibility is that you make a decision. And what they wanted more than anything, they were starting their young family, and Jen and Henry wanted so much to be present for their girls. Not just, present once in a while, but I mean really present, being so involved that they could be at every game and every event and every conversation, and to really, really help mold their daughters. And because of this business, quite honestly, they've been allowed to do that. And, today their girls are grown, they're grandparents, and I can say this with complete conviction. I have five gorgeous grandkids, but Jen and Henry have a gene pool. I'm going to tell you, they are raising two of the most beautiful kids I've ever seen in my life. I mean, unbelievably beautiful grandkids. And they're still living their dream. And if there's time, I would love Henry to talk to you about the sailboat adventures and cruising on their dream sailboat. And today, they live in an airstream on a farm with their horses. That's the kind of flexibility and possibility that they have. So tonight you're going to hear simple strategies that changed their health, gave them a vision, a business that enabled them to live with this kind of possibility. You're going to have insight, and you're going to kind of maybe gain a little insight as to what's possible for you. So, Jen and Henry, I love you both. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
This will take me just a sec to share my screen. And hold on one second. I got to go to advanced, and I got to share portion, and I got to share that. Okay, hold on one second.
I don't think there's a way to do this ahead of time.
There isn't, unfortunately. So, all right. Terry, can you see our screen okay?
Certainly can, and I can see you.
Perfect. Excellent. Very good. So I'm going to make this small so that we can see things.
Well, I just want to say welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. And, everyone's muted, so that's taken care of. And we do, in fact, live in an Airstream.
Yes.
This is not a Zoom background behind us. We are on a horse farm where we ride every day. We've got our two horses that are just a couple 100 feet away from us. And it is really an amazing lifestyle. We've really been able to do what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it. And so we're going to share how we did it and what we saw. And tonight we're going to start with some grim stuff, but not too grim, but we're going to share one change. And we believe it can make a profound difference in both your health and your finances. We're going to start with health because Ralph Waldo Emerson said health is the first wealth. And 1 in 4 people right now are going to die of heart disease. 1 in 2 will face cancer at some point in their life. 1 in 3 will develop diabetes. And 1 in 5 children, we talk about grandchildren, 1 in 5 children is now considered obese. These stats are just appalling.
And so, honestly, why are we so unhealthy? I mean, with all our medical advances, why aren't things getting better? When my dad got sick, I was scared because I thought disease was genetic. But what we learned was that most diseases are actually caused by diet and lifestyle. And 70% of what we eat is processed. And I really think that's a conservative number because honestly, just about everything we eat is in a package. And almost everything in the grocery store didn't even exist 50 or 60 years ago. And then another challenge is that even if you do eat produce, the nutritional quality of that produce has just gone down dramatically in this last generation.
And so, what do we really need to do to be healthy? I mean, the good news, it's a really short list. You need to exercise. You just, that could be just walking. You need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You need to manage your stress. You need to drink lots of clean water, preferably filtered, and eat real food. That's it. Just to be clear, if you were eating what you're eating has more than three ingredients, and you can't pronounce them, it's probably not real food.
And what we didn't know was that you can actually eat for prevention. That was like our light bulb moment. Most doctors are never trained in this, but when my dad got sick, we found a physician who made it the entire focus of his practice. Dr. Sears puts a number on it. 75% of chronic disease is preventable through nutrition. And the physician we worked with put that number even higher. He shared
Yeah.
that he felt that 85 to 90% of the patients he treated were there simply because of diet and lifestyle. And that stopped us cold. And honestly, we thought, okay, if that's true, we need to figure out what real food is and how it works.
So, if real food is the answer, what is it actually doing? Well, it comes down to oxidation. You've all seen it. If you cut open an apple, it turns brown. That's oxidation, and that's what's actually happening internally in every cell of our body. If you put lemon juice on the apple, it stays fresh. That's antioxidants at work. When we eat fruits and vegetables, our bodies get all the antioxidants and a host of other things that reduce that oxidation. And there are about 10,000 oxidative hits per cell per day going on in our body. And oxidation is aging, aging is oxidation. Fruits and veggies are the only source of antioxidants. So if you want to reduce oxidation, you really need to be eating a ton of produce.
And, at this point, the recommendations are 7 to 13 servings of fruits and veggies every day. And years ago, it used to be 5 a day for better health. I'm dating myself by knowing that stat, but it used to
Sure
be on
was.
grocery bags. Now it's 7 to 13 servings. And the primary reason we have to eat so many is that the nutrient density of the produce just isn't what it used to be. Primarily because produce is shipped a long way. The average produce travels 1,500 miles to get to the market. So produce is usually picked green so that it'll survive that transit time. It's picked and then it's shipped to a major distribution center, then a minor distribution center, then to a store, and finally to your house. So it's got to last a long time. And fresh produce, if you've ever had a garden in your backyard and you've picked a ripe tomato, it's not going to last
50.
1,500 miles.
No.
It's soft, it bruises easily if it's fresh and ripe. And so this process has just changed how we grow our food, where we grow our food, where it comes from, and how it gets to us. And the result is that produce is just not as nutrient dense as it used to be. And then on top of that, 90% aren't even getting the 7 to 13 servings in the first place.
And so I think most people know that they're not eating enough produce. And so what they end up doing is take vitamins. But here's the problem with that. Multivitamin is incredibly incomplete compared to whole food. For example, there might be 30 nutrients in a multivitamin, mostly lab-made stuff, versus an apple where we know there are over 10,000 compounds that we've identified, probably more. And they're all in very small amounts, but they are much more effective. For example, 5 milligrams of vitamin C from an apple is equivalent to 1,500 milligrams from a vitamin. And it just makes sense to have the food rather than a supplement. And in some cases, isolated vitamins have actually been shown to do harm. And so, they just aren't the same as real food.
So what's the answer? This is really where Juice Plus comes in. It is whole food. It's actual fruits, veggies, and berries that are juiced and dried into a powder. It's real produce that you can stay consistent with. And that's the key, consistency. It's just like getting to a gym or doing anything. You have to be consistent. It's the consistency that makes the difference. You have to eat right on a regular basis. And Juice Plus is a way to get the nutrition from a wide variety of produce into your routine every single day. It's not a fad, it's not a hype. It's real plants with real research, and people feel the difference. And because they feel the difference, they stay. So, others on this call can relate to this, but we've had clients that we've had for decades because Juice Plus is not something that they quote unquote take. It's the foundation for their entire approach to health. And that kind of long-term loyalty creates a very compelling picture for anyone looking to build an income.
Juice Plus makes it easy to stay consistent. You can choose from capsules, a powder, and you just add to water or gummies. And, 3 forms, and it can be seamlessly added into your routine.
And the cool thing is, we've put it out to the medical research community. So we know that when people eat the produce in this form, the same things happen to you that would happen if you could actually eat the produce on a regular basis. We know it supports cardiovascular health, it supports how the immune system behaves, it supports gum health. It reduces the oxidative stress that Henry was talking about earlier. It reduces inflammation. It protects DNA. And that was the one that really got me because I thought disease was genetic. So I was all about, I'm going to protect my DNA. So when I saw the DNA study and I realized, hey, this stuff really reduces damage, the new cells are healthier and cleaner than the pre-existing cells, I was all in forever, basically. I didn't care if I ever felt anything on the outside because of Juice Plus. I just knew I wanted that long-term protection. And that's what our research is showing. Juice Plus puts you in the best nutritional status that you can be in. And we didn't know about any of that when we got started. We just knew that it made sense to put fruits and veggies into a powder and into a capsule. And now to have the 48 studies show that Juice Plus supports your health, it's just powerful.
It's incredible. And we couldn't do it any other way. So the other beautiful thing about our program is that children get to eat for free.
Right.
If an adult's ordering Juice Plus, any child between the ages of 4 and 25 can get Juice Plus for free. We've had over 4 million people go through this program, and that's 2 million parents, 2 million children. And one of the most powerful results from that is that we found 56% of participating children ended up taking fewer over the counter or prescription meds after adding Juice Plus to their diet. When I started at 33, I was already on medications for allergy, asthma, and high blood pressure. I assumed that I needed these prescriptions, I was going to need them for life. And it's not that Juice Plus cures or mitigates any disease, but putting that much produce into my body changed my physiology over the course of a year. And I got rid of most of my allergies. My asthma improved, and I didn't need my high blood pressure medication anymore. I started losing weight and I started eating less junk. I was still eating primarily the same food because I had the taste for it that I had been eating, but I just found myself only needing one powdered donut instead of a whole box. And believe me, I ate the whole box before. I started having energy and I found myself working out. Juice Plus was a catalyst that enabled me to make a radical shift in my diet without having to deal with cravings. And after 2 years, I dropped 70 pounds. And I was running my first marathon that Juice Plus sponsored for St. Jude. The cool thing is I've kept that weight off effortlessly for over 30 years, and I feel better now in my 70s than I did at 38. And obviously, this is just my story, and Juice Plus is just food. So everyone's going to have some experience that's going to be different than mine. But for me, it's really helped me break the addiction to sugar. That's really the key for me.
And the other part about Juice Plus that I think is critical is it's affordable. When we got started, the physician who was helping us with my dad really impressed upon us that the risk we were taking was not getting around to the produce. He said, it doesn't really matter what you eat. What matters is that you've got to make sure you get the produce in. I mean, he just drove that home. And he just kept saying, it's the not eating the produce that creates the risk. And so we took that to heart. And we actually tried juicing as a family, which I don't know if you've ever done juicing, but we were living in the country. We had a long drive to go and get the produce. We were driving about an hour a day. It was crazy. Half hour there, half hour back. And it cost us like between
For
10 and $20 a day. And then our girls, who were 3 and 7 at the time, wouldn't drink it. They looked at this glass
said,
of
yuck.
brown juice and said, no way.
Yeah.
And honestly, we couldn't afford juicing long term. So when we saw this and realized, okay, it's 267 a day for a whole ton of produce, it just was a no-brainer. So it's super affordable, especially with kids getting it for free.
And here's really the interesting thing for me is that everyone knows they should be eating more fruits and vegetables on some level. Your grandmother told you, my grandmother told me, and yet almost nobody actually does it consistently. And when there's a big gap between what people know and what they actually do, there's room for a big solution. And we have that solution. The bigger the problem that you can solve, the bigger the opportunity for real impact and real income.
And we solve one of the biggest problems there is. We need to eat a ton of fruits and veggies, and no one can do it for a variety of reasons. It might be the taste, it might be the cost, it might be the convenience, but our solution's affordable, it's effective, and it's convenient.
And we've had some challenges when we got started. I was 38. I had elderly parents that we were caring for. We were raising our two young daughters. We had two businesses we were running or trying to run. And I was already on prescriptions. It was not a pretty picture. I didn't have any time. I didn't have any money. I was in debt and our finances were headed the wrong way. I was going broke. I was really struggling and I was looking for leverage. I was looking for something I could believe in and create multiple streams of income. And then inbox Juice Plus. I mean, it was incredible.
So, maybe you can relate to where we were at. Like Henry said, we were working. We really couldn't work any more hours than we were working. And we were taking care of our kids. We were taking care of Henry's parents. And then my dad got sick. And I obviously wanted to spend more time with him, but we were already losing the money game. So, we just didn't have that sorted out. And the biggest thing that was hard for me was that if I wanted to spend more time with my dad, I had to leave work. And that meant I wasn't earning. And it was just a moment in time when we realized something's got to give, something's got to change. The model we were in just was not working for us. And it happened at the same time when we had this wake up call with our health, and we realized we've got to get proactive with our health. We've got to find something we can do that's sustainable, that's going to help us with our health long term, because we didn't want to put our kids through what I was going through with my dad. And, my dad was very young and he wasn't going to get to know our children. And that was just heartbreaking for me. So we had these two motives. We wanted to solve the money problem, but we also wanted to solve the health problem. We were really terrified by what we saw with my dad, and we were going to do everything we could to avoid that.
Still, one of the scariest things I've ever seen was his face. It was really not good. So, one of the things that really changed the conversation around health right now and lifestyle and our money is the longevity factor. We're expected to live longer now than any generation before us. And it doesn't mean that we're going to stay healthier longer, but we are going to be around longer. And that's a gift, to be sure, but it means that our money has to last longer. Most people will live well into their 90s, which is great, but traditional retirement plans just weren't built for that kind of timeline. And in our case, we didn't want to wait for retirement to start having a life. We wanted to stay at home with our kids. We both wanted to be stay-at-home parents. I mean, it was not one or the other. And we had a good work ethic, but we lived in a small town and there just weren't that many job opportunities available.
And so the challenge that most people have is, they just can't save enough money right now. A lot of people are working 2, 3, 4 jobs. Everybody's doing different things. And here's the issue. A lot of it is simply that the cost of living has gone up and the income hasn't followed suit. So, for example, in 1960, housing, education, and healthcare combined were about 22% of income. Today, they're 37.5% of income. That's almost double. And it just doesn't leave enough room in the budget for saving. And here's the thing, it really doesn't matter whether you're 26 or 56. If a strategy doesn't work,
Exactly.
no amount of effort is going to make it work. Doing more of the wrong thing isn't going to make it right. And what we saw here was a model where instead of trying to amass the millions, you could actually create the income that paid you like you'd amassed the millions. So for example, if you want to have 5,000 a month coming in, you need to have $1.5 million properly invested. Here's the thing though, some people have run out of time to accumulate that wealth. And other people just aren't making enough money beyond what their cost of living is to set anything aside to try and accumulate that. But what if there were a way, instead of trying to amass that, that you could create that same income with a completely different strategy?
And we're going to show you that completely different model. When I first saw it, I didn't even know it existed. I sat and watched it with my dad, and it was really fun. But you don't need to go get another job. You need to get another model. And it isn't magic, it's multiplication instead of exhaustion. We didn't have any more in the tank. And this changed the whole game. And when I first was introduced to this, I was just wiped out. I couldn't work any harder. And I didn't have anything more to bring to a traditional job. I needed a completely different approach, and we found it here.
And so, what I want to do is, I just want to go through a little bit about what this model is and how it works. Let's just say Juice Plus makes sense to you. I mean, when we first heard about fruits and veggies in a capsule, we were like, oh my gosh, of course, can't do it any other way. So, let's assume this makes sense to you. Would you tell anyone about it? I think you probably would. I mean, have you ever shared something new that you learned about with people just because it was cool? It was an idea that you went, wow, great idea. So the question is, do you think you could find two people who feel the same way that you do? Do you think you could find two people anywhere who are looking to get healthier and also interested in creating some extra income? With our help, you're going to show those two how to do exactly what you just did. They're going to find their two people who are looking to get healthier and want to create some extra income. And again, we'll partner together and they find their two, and then we teach those two how to find their two. And then it duplicates one more time. So you start with two, and when you build it out, you end up with 62. And that's really the secret sauce to this. You're finding the two and teaching them how to do the same. You're not finding the 62. This is a model of duplication.
And on our team, the average person has their own order and maybe a customer or two. And if you build out that small base of people, your income is around $868 a month. Now, $868 may not sound like a lot of money, but right now, even though the baby boomers are sitting on 71% of the nation's wealth, it's mostly channeled in the top 10%. And the average boomer has about $188,000 on average accumulated. So, as you can see in this graph, in order to have over $800 a month in income from investments, you'd need over a quarter of a million properly invested to throw off that kind of cash. Boomers don't even have that. They may have a nice house, they may be driving a Mercedes from the good old days, but things may look great outside. But what if they get sick? Chances are they're going to need in-home care. They're going to need all kinds of other extra things that they simply don't have the income for. And they probably have Social Security. That's comforting, except maybe it'll be there, maybe it won't. And is it enough? No, it's not. And so, how long would it take, do you think, to find a couple of people who are interested in looking better, feeling better, and having a little extra cash coming in every month? I don't think it's going to take very long. And, I just want to add that it's not just boomers. A lot of people in their 30s and 40s can't buy a house. They just can't swing it. Our daughter is a classic case. She's in California and starter homes are over $2 million. She has a great income, but all she can afford is a nice rental. And it's a challenging scenario financially. And, we have a solution for that. Obviously, this is an example of what's possible. It's not a guarantee or a promise. Your income is going to depend on your effort and your consistency. And quite frankly, most people who join won't put in that effort or that consistency. And we're happy to share with you our annual earnings summary so you can see the actual details for yourself.
And so just the power of duplication is so exciting for both of us. I mean, we really love it just because you're not limited to two. You can obviously do two who find two, but you can also do three who find three, or four who find four, or five who find five. As Henry said before, we wanted to both be stay-at-home merit parents, and we both wanted to have a professional income. No clue how we were going to do that living in the country. We wanted to have the time to be the kind of parents who just never missed anything with our kids, and we were able to do that. Now, obviously, these are examples. They're not a guarantee, like Henry said. And the big thing is your income is going to obviously depend on your effort and your consistency. And, as Henry shared, most people won't put that in. When you look at our income earnings summary, you'll see most people don't do it. But my question to you is this: are you most people? I don't think so. You're here tonight watching this. So we were looking for a way to create both income and time flexibility. And I've never seen another model that does it the way this can do it. We really expect people to be profitable here in the first 30 days. And most people want to know, how quickly can I earn something real? So let me just go through some of those numbers. It's 52 a year to be a partner with the company. And in your first 10 days, we encourage you get on the program yourself and then find two other people to join you. And that should earn about 190 days in your first 10-day window. And then if you think, okay, let me find three other people who want to do the same thing, get healthier and make some extra money, we teach them to do just what you did, and they earn their 190. And then your earnings, when that happens, go to about 890. And then if we work with those three people and support them in earning their 890, in the second month, your earnings are going to be about 1200. So here's the question, yes, this is different, and yes, it takes initiative, but what would another 1200 next month mean for you? What could that change?
Yeah, this picture, it really hit home for us because we've been there. We faced a real crisis. We needed something that could actually solve that problem. We were hungry enough to do what it took, and it worked. And that's why we can't stop sharing this, because right now, millions of people are losing sleep over their health or their finances. And most of them will never find what we found because it's just not, it isn't, it's that it isn't extraordinary, but it's just not mainstream. And this has changed everything for us. I just can't emphasize that enough. I saw today 401ks, more emergency hits on the 401ks than at any time in American history. So, are you ready for last night to be the last night that you went to bed worried? We have a solution right here, right now.
And so, if you are ready for last night to be your last sleepless night, we want you to know the moment you step towards a solution, something shifts. There's a peace that comes just from deciding to move. Decision alone changes everything. We have a health program that works. We have an income model that works. The real question isn't whether this works, because it does. The real question is, what would you like to see change? And is now the time? For some of you, the honest answer is no, it's not now. And we respect that completely. But if you're ready to look better, to feel better, and to finally support your health in a meaningful way, get started on Juice Plus tonight. Or maybe you're like us and you see what we see: fruits and veggies in a capsule, a universal need, and an income opportunity that's absolutely massive because of that universal need. So if you see that, maybe some of the dreams you pushed to the back of your mind are kind of wrestling again. Join us as a partner tonight. Reach out to the person who invited you to this presentation. Get your questions answered. Take the next step. So we're grateful you were here. We trust this has given you a new vision of what's truly possible. And just thank you so much for joining us.